Thanks everybody for joining us on the What's New in Cbtf, our technical kickoff to 2022. And I would just like to have Joanne Moser, our Cbtf president, give a welcome to everybody who's joined us tonight.
Thanks, Dana. So welcome to everyone to the 2022 What's New webinar. We have been working to put together this webinar for you so that you have the information that you need that will help you to be prepared for our 2021-2022 competition season. Also, the Education Committee has put a lot of work and input into what will be put into the webinar tonight. So thank you to them. And on behalf of our Cbtf Board of Directors, I would like to welcome everybody to tonight's webinar and I look forward to another great year of baton twirling in Canada. So welcome everyone.
Thanks, Joanne. So our outline for this evening is we'll do some introductions. We'll go over new season reminders, touch base on our athlete coaching and judging programs. We'll bring you some news from Wbtf. Talk about our national and international competitions. We have some administrative updates, and then we'll have time at the end for questions and answers. So if you have questions throughout, maybe jot them down because they might be answered on the next slide or so. And then at the end, you can raise your hand and ask your question, or feel free to type it in the chat. I'll get Jeff to monitor the chat for us so that we can address all those questions towards the end of the webinar. So I'd just like to introduce the Cbtf Technical Committee. My name is Dana Pedaleski. I'm the technical chair. Our past technical chair is Jeff Johnson. Our Wbtf technical advisor is Maureen Johnson. Our judges rep is Jenna Jemayev. Wbtf judges rep is Ron Kopis. Coaches rep, Maureen Johnson. Athlete rep, Shauna Spencer. Group rep, Leisha Strawn. SDP rep, Sarah Mougeot. And our sanction officer is Sue Meppo. And a huge thank you to our provincial technical reps who work very hard within the provinces. BC, Tracy Isons, Alberta, Jenna Jemayev, Saskatchewan, Elan Pollock, Manitoba, Kristen Macarag, Ontario, Deirdre Leslie, and New Brunswick, Brenda Arsenault LeBlanc. Quebec and Nova Scotia are vacant at this time. And a thank you to our Cbtf Education Committee who meet throughout the year to work on our education initiatives. And that's Maureen Johnson, Jenna Jemayev, Karen Grattan, Jeff Johnson, Ron Kopis, and Joanne Moser. So we'll move into our new season reminders. Just a reminder to our provincial reps to submit your contact information after your AGM. So there's probably a lot of AGMs happening in the past month and the next month. So get that contact information into secretary. Cindy would appreciate receiving that. And just a reminder, that information is used to create our group email addresses, and that's used by all of our national reps to contact the provinces. So if you don't submit your new updates, you're probably missing out on our communications. As always, videotaping for education. So the new videos of all events are always appreciated for our training libraries. The focus this year will be to collect videos of our badge examinations and our pre-competitive standard routines. Those are ones we're going to need to build our library again with the changes that are upcoming that you'll hear about later in the webinar. So just feel free to contact admin@cbtf.ca for submission method options. Competition results. So this information needs to come in immediately after every competition. You can use the competition results form on the website to directly upload and submit your results. And this can come from as a PDF, Word document, Excel, any version of the results is fine with us. So there's a quick link on the right-hand side of the website and you can get those submitted there. We use the results to calculate Athlete of the Year awards, Challenge Cup awards, and just a reminder, we need all of the results, graded and competitive events, not just advancement scores. So all of your competitive and graded event results, but not your pre-comp results. We don't need those. Music tagging, just a reminder, since we've been a little bit away from creating group events, but we still have music that needs to be tagged properly. So you can go to the website in the resources and find the information on music labeling and tagging. This is especially important for our national events when we get there to have all of the information or all of the files sorted properly. And there's detailed instructions on the website on how to properly label, but this is just a little screenshot here of what you should do for freestyle, pair, and group protocols. Advancement. So this is another reminder. It was in effect last season, but I thought it would be a good little reminder here as well. The advancement in status levels from a provincial winter championship will not become effective until September 1st of that year. So this applies to our medley, solo dance, twirl, solo, two-baton, three-baton, duet, twirl team, dance twirl team, freestyle team, and artistic group events. So it used to be that your status would be frozen as of your provincials winter championships. Now it's until Canadians. Now we've extended that out to September 1st. And for open competition athletes and groups, we'll freeze those as of May 31st until September of that year. To our tabulators out there, just a friendly reminder to the crews, the only tick boxes that incur a numerical penalty are drops. There is the exception on the medley score sheet, which I'll go to on my next slide. But when you're assessing the penalties, you only deduct for the tick boxes in the drops category. So on this sample, this is a screenshot of a two-baton score sheet. This athlete had 3 drops, 3 breaks or slips, 2 off patterns, and 4 non-two-batons. Only the drops count, so you put in a 0.3 into the penalty box. For medley, in addition to drops, there's in section 1 a penalty for an element that's missed or incomplete or an illegal baton move. So you'll see that circled in red. In section 2, drops and illegal baton moves are marked by the judge. And in section 3, it's drops. So only the items circled in red count as a penalty. On this score sheet, it's 0.5. So what I did with the PDF sheets when we created them this year for use at online competitions, you'll notice that the ticks in the items that incur penalties are X's, and the ticks in the other items that don't incur a penalty are diamonds. So I hope that's helpful, but of course, if you're using pen and paper, you're not going to see those different tick marks, but just a reminder to watch for those.
Could I have a question on that?
At the end, Ron, thanks.
Okay.
Tabulation for, this is a new change coming up this year. Tabulation for multiple judged divisions of Cbtf individual and duet events. So this will apply definitely at the Canadian Winter Championships and then at your provincials when you're using multiple judges on one division. There's now a change to the tabulation process so that the ordinals are determined using each judge's own gross score and their own penalties. So that's to preserve each judge's own rank or an ordinal as they had intended. Previous to this, the drops from the judges, if there was 2 or 3 judges, were averaged and that average was used across the board to take the deduction. And this new process will use each individual judge's drop penalties for their deductions on their score. Just a reminder about announcing. So if you're an announcer or a competition director for group events, the name of the club will not be announced when the group is taking the floor. The name of the group should not be included in the title of the group for announcing purposes. But for tabulation and program printing purposes, the club names can remain as attached to the group name. And the club name is to remain for music tagging protocols. So just be aware in your province of potential duplicate group names from different clubs. If they happen to be using the same music and they decide to use the title of the music, you might end up with the same name. So be wary of that within your province. But here's a quick view of score sheets and masters. We'll just use the name of the group. Program and tabulation files can have the name of the club along with the name of the group. And from our group rep, return to play guidelines. These were created by our provincial group reps along with Cbtf group rep Leisha last year during the start of the pandemic. And just a friendly reminder that these are good. It's a good little handout to have and a reminder of what you should be focusing on when you're returning to group efforts within your province. And of course, you have to follow your provincial health restrictions, but these are a good tool for you. It's not the rule, but this has been circulated amongst the provincial group reps and the provincial technical reps in your province. So if you'd like a copy, reach out to one of them. And our competition phases. During COVID-19 last year, we implemented red, orange, yellow, blue, and green options to try and accommodate provinces still being able to host competitions during the shutdown. And we have extended this into this upcoming competition season as well, because we know that there are still restrictions and potential fourth waves coming in all of the provinces. So we will continue offering these colored competitions, if we want to call it that. So orange is video virtual, and athletes will, oh, I think I skipped one, sorry, red, video reviews. So that would be where athletes submit a video and judges will assess it, but results don't count for advancement. Orange is athletes submit a video and the judges are assessing it live online. Again, results don't count for advancement in that setup. Moving into completely virtual, this is a popular one where athletes are live online and judges are live online. And this would be where results do count for advancement. Virtually judged competition, our blue, is when all of the athletes at the competition are in the same location, but our judges still haven't been flown in or come into the facility. They're all online. And those results do count for advancement. And then ultimately what we want to get to is our green competitions. Everybody's back in the gym in person. So just a reminder, when you're doing your sanctioning, last year we created an online PDF fillable form, and I hope that's made the process a little bit easier for everybody and less paper, just electronic files. So when we sanction our competitions, if you're doing something with a COVID-related capacity restriction, just make sure that you are using the drop-down menu over here to select your style of competition that you are running. So that's some of our update reminders. We're now going to move into athlete programs and the skill development program. So the skill development program content has been updated and is ready for the initial rollout and review during the 2021-22 season. And this includes a written manual as well as individual skill videos. So I'd just like to give a big thank you to our committee members, Sarah Mujo, Stephanie Hewis, Maureen Johnson, Nancy Lightheart, Debbie Middleton, and Taylor Patton, who contributed a lot of work to this revision, and our video demonstrators, Elise and Julie. We are going to host an intro to the SDP on Sunday, October 24th. And this will be at 6:45 p.m. Central Daylight Time, adjust for your local time zones. And I'm gonna invite Sarah to come on to speak about what we will cover in the webinar.
Sure, thanks, Dana. And thank you to you. She was also on the committee as well, and you didn't thank yourself, Dana, so thank you. For our skills development program webinar, we're going to provide a general overview of the refreshed SDP. So of course, we can't do it all in 1 hour or even in 12 hours. There's a lot of new content and a lot of updated content and some revisions. So we'll talk generally about what are the overarching changes and some big program shifts. We'll highlight our new ribbons at the start, which align better with our LTAD, with our active start programming, and some new badges that have been added to fill in some gaps in the program that we found a need for. And I'll explain how the SDP aligns with the pre-competitive program. We know that that review is going on simultaneously, and Fortunately, about half our committee sat on both, and that helped us to better align the pre-comp with our SDP to make sure that they run in conjunction with each other seamlessly. We also will detail how athletes who have already earned some badges and pins will slot into the refreshed program. I've got a handy dandy little chart, and it's very easy. You just say, I did this before and now I'm here. And I'll provide coaches with an update on how the new method of adjudication will be used. So note the adjudicators are going to be taking their course update to maintain their certification coming up in before Christmas, I believe. So I'll go through that with the coaches as well, so they know what the adjudicators are looking for. We'll also provide an in-depth hands-on webinar scheduled into the new year, which will have coaching tips and tricks, as well as helpful hints for body movement and instruction. And very excitingly, we've got our Cbtf app development going smoothly. It's underway, and our first feature on the app will be the SDP program. This app will be available on both Google Play and the App Store.
Excellent.
And
sorry, Sarah.
Now? That's me.
Yeah, you can keep going. Sorry, I jumped ahead. I was excited about the app.
No, that's okay. Or is this you, Dana?
Okay, this can be me.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks so much, Sarah. And we look forward to our update webinar in the coming weeks, and then more in-depth training come the new year. So just an update for the skills development program. Online adjudication will continue during the next season due to COVID restrictions. We intend for this to be club or province-driven examinations, so not individuals via Cbtf like we did last summer. So we want the clubs to get, or the provinces as well, to get back to doing their assessments, their test days as a group. So we have some options for this as well. So you can submit videos, you can do it virtually, having an adjudicator zoom in, and if you're able to, due to your health restrictions, go ahead and host a regular session with everybody in person. The adjudicator rate remains at $14 per hour. If you're wishing to do a per badge basis, we've decided that you will calculate that as 1/3 of the hourly rate rounded up to the nearest dollar. So at this time, with the hourly rate at $14 an hour, the adjudication rate is $5 per badge. Moving ahead to our pre-competitive program. The pre-comp program individual standard routines has been updated and is ready for initial rollout and review during this upcoming season. The written descriptions handbook is updated, as well as we have new demonstration videos. So a big thank you to our committee members on this committee: Jenna Jemiah, Maureen Johnson, Elan Pollock, Jennifer Marin, Debbie Middleton, Sarah Mujo, and Leanne Wilson. And to our video demonstrators, Annabelle K, Annabelle P, Elise M, and Julie. So we are going to be doing an intro to the pre-comp on Sunday, November 14th at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. And you'll see the Zoom links will be available on the Cbtf website, and these are also going to go out through the provincial technical chairs shortly. Oh, keep skipping ahead here. With the pre-competitive program, the standard group routines are scheduled for review during the 2022-23 season. So just as we have just gone through with the individual routines, Leisha and her team will be doing the same for the group routines. So she has been collecting and compiling feedback up until our recent fall technical meeting. She's formed the standard group routines review committee, which consists of the provincial group reps, as well as Maureen and Sarah and myself. The task is to review what we've called the shopping list and development of the proposed changes, and that will all be presented at the next fall technical meeting. And we will go through the same process of testing the program next year. So we're looking forward to that as well. Moving ahead to our competitive program graded events. Just a reminder, graded medals. You can use up your stock of medals, but if you're running low, you need to place that order through Sue by December 1st. There's a handy little order form on the quick links on the website. So just make sure you go through your stock in your province, make sure you're going to have enough medals to cover your individual graded events, and hopefully we get into group events this year, and just make sure that you have the quantities on hand that you will need. With the graded program, its review has taken place. There's no changes being made to the graded program. It will continue to run as usual. Just a friendly reminder, we've had some questions. Results are not public and are not announced for graded events. There's been a suggestion made that competition directors review how your awards table handles score sheets and the distribution of these awards. We'd like you to consider not just spreading the sheets out on table for all to see and not just handing sheets out to other athletes to pass along to the eventual owner. A suggestion was that perhaps you could make club folders and the coaches can come and pick them up if you don't want to hand them out individually direct to the athlete that's to receive it. So just some ideas there for you to tighten up your awards table a little bit. Moving into the competitive program for athletes. This is just a reminder, it's been in place for a season already, but as we're starting the new season, it's always good to remember that in order to enter level C compulsories in an open competition, you must have attained your silver pin. And in order to enter level B compulsories in any competition, you must have attained your gold pin. And so just a reminder, yep, the SDP must be done in order and all the badges leading up to each of the pins must be passed by the athlete in order to be tested for the pin. So you can't just jump from pin to pin, you have to do the badges in between, with the exception being rolls and Toubaton are optional within the program. Level BN athletes. So this is kind of an ongoing carry it through. Level BN athletes will compete in the winter event at provincials and nationals up to and including the 2022 Canadians. This was in place for the 2019 Canadians and the 2020 Canadians, and when that got canceled and then the 21 Canadians were virtual, we've extended this out. After that, after we get through 2022 Canadians, level BN athletes will participate in the open portion of the competitions. So the Maple Leaf Open, they won't be part of the winter events anymore. And that's kind of following in line with our LTAD, long-term athlete development. Another friendly reminder, this has been in place for a while, but we do see it's still happening. Only level BA and level A athletes are to be using the extended solo music, and that's for solo and duet. And same goes for extended two baton and three baton. That's for level BA and level A only. So for level C, BN, and BI, those athletes need to finish by the beep, and our judges will stop judging at the beep and put their heads down, and you won't have any credit for material after the beep at the C, BN, or BI level. So just a friendly reminder, make sure those athletes get those routines done by the beep. Moving into freestyle and pair. So last year we had 3 levels of freestyle and pair, and this year the change to that is that we now are introducing level B short program. So our level BI freestyle athletes will perform B compulsories as they know it. Our level BA freestyle athletes will now perform the B short program, and I have some more information on that coming up. And our level A freestyle athletes will perform the Wbtf short program as usual. Athletes in pairs will start the discipline at the level determined by their coach, and they will not revert back any levels, which is no change to our current situation. I just wanted to remind everybody about that. If you're trying to determine where your athlete should enter, if they have previously competed in level A freestyle or level A pair, they remain level A for that event. If they competed BA last season, they'll remain BA unless they achieved the score to advance. If they competed level BI last season, they will remain level BI again unless they achieved the score to advance. And I've got those scores on the next slide for you. Athletes in pairs that have competed level B prior to the 2021 season. So for example, up until the 2019 Canadians, and they just happened to not do freestyle or pairs last year during COVID. They're in the situation where they still need to choose level BI or level BA or level A to start the 2021-22 season. So if you took last year off, but you were a previous B athlete, then discuss with your coach where you should be going this year. Here's our advancement scores. So a score of 35 will advance the athlete to level BA, and a score of 45 will advance the athlete or pair to level A. So just make a note here that the advancement occurs in the season following the achievement of the score. And then freestyle advancement scores are the combined compulsory or short program score out of 25 plus the freestyle score out of 75 for a total out of 100. So you have to be running a full freestyle compulsory or freestyle short program competition in order to get scores out of 100 that would count towards advancement. Our qualifying scores. So to get from provincials to Canadians in the freestyle or pair event, a 25 from the BI freestyle or pair, a 35 in the BA freestyle or pair, and 45 in the level A freestyle or pair. And the existing qualification procedures for team trials, which is our top 5 plus provincial berths, still apply for the provincial to Canadian team trials. So the qualifying scores portion is for our Canadian championships, our winter events and championships, and the berths, top 5 plus berths applies for the team trials portion of it. And just a reminder how our freestyle levels tie into our long-term athlete development plan. If you're struggling or want an idea of where to start out or where you should be with your levels, the requirements are listed for BI freestyle. You should be at least BI in solo and BI in medley or solo dance. And then that follows through to BA in solo and BA in medley or solo dance if you're thinking about doing BA freestyle. And A freestyle would be an A soloist and level A in medley or solo dance. And then this, with the pairs, we've tied it into duet and solo or Toubaton events, just to give you an idea of where a good starting point would be. And then we do have content restrictions in place for freestyle and pair. And I'm not going to go through these in detail because they have been in place for a year, but just as a reminder, and then you can find, there's a document on the website that you can download or print out to have handy for you. In the categories of spins and stationary complex, double element tricks are outlined, travel complex is outlined, roles are outlined, and contact material, no restriction across the board, but everyone should remember that you should do horizontal and vertical, right and left hand, forward and reverse if you can. And for the pair event, all of the above restrictions are applicable for individual tricks as well as exchanges. Music timing. So this one's important. At this time of year, you're probably looking for and editing and cutting your music. So just take a visit over to the website and make sure you've got the timelines correct when you're doing your edits. And then for competition directors, we want you to make sure that you're timing these events at your local and provincial competitions so that if there are any errors that they're caught before getting to nationals. It's very sad for the athlete or group to get a penalty because they were overtime or undertime at nationals when they've been twirling with that all year long and nobody caught it. So if we can capture those errors at the provincial level and save a penalty at nationals, that would be very helpful. Short program. So the level A short program requires that the athlete wear the official Cbtf compulsory bodysuit at all competitions. We've noticed that there were some athletes doing level A short program this past year that were wearing just a plain black bodysuit, and We let that slide due to COVID and the fact that we didn't have a Cbtf floor monitor at each of your gyms before the athlete took the floor for nationals. But just keep in mind, we do have a floor monitor when we are in person, and you must be wearing the official compulsory bodysuit if you're level A, and our level Bs can wear a plain black bodysuit. Level B short program. So our level BA freestyle athletes will be performing the level B short program. We've gone through the pilot process and there have been slight modifications as a result of the feedback. We had good discussion at our fall technical meeting, which resulted in a toss being added to the hop element, eliminating all accessory material regardless of the age division, and clarifying start and end positions of the elements such that they align more closely with our level A elements. So that work is underway, and we will be having a webinar to show everybody what those changes are on Sunday, November 21st. So we hope you can join us for that one to find out all the details. And now we're going to move into judges and adjudicators. So the Adjudicator program regarding certification, we are now going to break it into 3 levels. This is reduced from the previous 4 levels, which were S1, S2, S3, and S4. So our new way of labeling and certifying our adjudicators is that A1 certification will be for yellow, orange, red, and maroon. A2 certification will be for gray, green, turquoise, pink, blue, purple, copper, and black. I've just spoiled the surprise and let you know what the new badge colors are there. So still join in to see how our program lays out, but those are our exciting new badge colors. A3 certification will be all of the pins: bronze pin, rolls and Toubaton, silver pin, rolls and Toubaton, gold pin, rolls and Toubaton, diamond pin, and our very new maple leaf pin. So the method of adjudication has changed in order to better prepare our adjudicators to become judges of the pre-competitive and competitive routines. Our current adjudicators will be offered the opportunity to recertify in the new method of adjudication. So you all can watch for notice of that coming shortly. And then courses to certify our brand new adjudicators will be offered at the national level by Cbtf in the new year. So we're excited to get some new adjudicators certified and into our judging program. I'm now going to invite Jenna to join us and talk a little bit more about some other judging topics that we want to share with you.
Hi everyone, thank you for attending this evening. So first off, I just want to remind our judges, if they are looking to do an update, they can do so online. So the judges must order it through the Cbtf Education Store. It's a no-charge purchase that will be added to your education portal account. Watching this focus meeting qualifies as an update for the M2, M3, and Wbtf Master Judge certifications. In order for judges to receive update credit, they must watch it through the Cbtf Education portal and watch all sections, including freestyle, even if they are not a master judge. Judges will be updated effective July 12th, 2020, which was the date of the focus meeting, not effective the date that they purchased or downloaded the files. So please note, we did do a focus meeting in 2021, but the 2020 Canadians focus meeting does apply to the update as it is already on the website. So in speaking about focus meetings, it is important that competition directors must make every effort possible to have judges arrive the evening before or early in the morning of their competition in order to provide a judge's focusing on the updates of rules and regulations of the events being held at that competition. All competitions must hold a judge's meeting of a minimum of half an hour prior to the competition's starting time. Judges are reminded that focus meetings are not meant to just sign score sheets and masters. A reminder about judging lists. We have an online form on the website for competition directors to complete. This automatically gets forwarded to the Cbtf judges rep and the Wbtf judges rep so you no longer need to send an email listing your judges. Judging lists must be sent in well in advance, at least 6 weeks, to allow for certification check. CBTF rules state that if a judge judges an event they are not certified for, the results are invalid. If there are any last-minute changes to the list, both the CBTF judges rep and the Wbtf judges rep must be notified immediately. The judges networking list, which is very important. So a reminder that judges must report all contact with all athletes and all coaches for the current season using the networking list form. This is to be submitted with every judge's contract for all competitions. This form must be amended and resubmitted as circumstances change. Any failure to report a contact will be considered a serious breach of the judge's code of conduct. The conflict of interest policy was replaced with this networking list, and it is the responsibility of the competition director to decide on judges' conflicts. Moving forward to the addition of our new Toubaton role model at the advancement score of 5.0. This was done in addition to our current role model to enhance our training for judges and give them a tool for what the advancement score of a 5.0 should look like, as well as we're working to add a score of 2.5 to the role model as well, as our goal when we added some new role models and changed some of those role models was to allow the judges to have those role models at the advancement scores for a tool that they can use. As well as we had an addition to the Twirl team role model. So this was done to replace one of the previous role models for Twirl team. So we thought that this was a better fit. It was more to the event focus. So the high fair role model was changed. So the video and the script has been updated. That was the only range that we felt needed updating. So the remainder of the Twirl team role models have stayed the same. For the pom-pom role model, we have updated the script and augmented it to give more current and positive analysis of the routines. This is a really important new directive. So this is the judges' communication during division. So during provincial and national competition events, athletes can be evaluated simultaneously by 2 or more judges. The judges on any particular panel shall not, at any time during the division, have any communication regarding the athletes in that division. No communication of scoring range or sub-range score, drops, or other violations, placement, or anything related to the performance of any athlete in that division shall be allowed. Any such communication shall be considered a breach of professional judging ethics. Each judge is hired for their individual opinion of the athlete and event. It is not required or encouraged for the judges to place athletes in the same ordinals. For this reason, maintain confidentiality of your scores and avoid any discussion between judges during the event. And one of the main reasons why this was decided upon as well was hearing from the athletes and how it impacted them when they were competing. It made them feel uncomfortable. And, you know, that's something that we really thought about and helped us make this decision.
Thanks, Jenna. That was a great update for us. And we will have a couple of judging webinars. Sorry, my computer jumped through a couple of slides there, but we do have a judging webinar on the graded events and Toubaton coming up in November. And then in December, we will do a play the game with medley and solo dance. So Jenna will take us through both of those webinars, and you can register for those on the website. So now we're going to move into the Wbtf judging system, and I'd invite Maureen to walk us through the code of points.
For the new judging system, there is a code of points for aerials, rolls, receptions, releases, and entrances and exits for roles. And that determines the base score that they will get, which they will when they fill out the new fiche. So the judging system is well on its way, and it's going to be tested this fall. October 31st is the deadline for those of you who are preparing freestyle routines for that test. They need to be submitted by October 31st, and then a panel of judges will judge them to see how the system is working out. They'll use the new system, find any bugs, and it hasn't been implemented yet, but it is undergoing a lot of testing, and I think they're targeting it for the 2026 World Championships, which would be the first World Championships after the first merged championships with Wbtf. I think it could be ready for then, but there will be testing of the new system happening this year in 2022. The competition will be judged with the old system, but there will be a panel judging it with the new system at the same time. So I wouldn't know how to advise you on creating this year's routines, whether you should try to create them with the new system in mind, or a combination of the two, or go with the old system. Because the judging will actually take part on the original system, and the side-by-side panel is testing out the new system. So the new system requires a little bit different format, because you're restricted to 5 aerials and 2 roll series, 2 connected roll series, vertical and horizontal, where in the old system you could mix your rolls throughout so I think it would be a good thing perhaps to do a roll series of 3 or more connected rolls, horizontal and vertical, just to play it safe. And then you can have other rolls throughout your routine as you normally have done. So contact still will be the transition between the aerials, and the movement with contact is still going to be judged, but it's not required certain elements. It's just whatever you want to use to set up your aerials. So there's still some gray areas. I think everybody should, the manual is complete, and it breaks everything down quite clearly. And I think the coaches who are doing those sample freestyles have the material and have the manual and all the material that goes with it. It's a lengthy manual and will require quite a bit of study. So I think we should do some education using the manual and using the new system, just even in a class setting, so that everybody is familiar with it, because everything, it was unanimously supported at the board meeting on the weekend. So that it's progressing as policies, and this will be the last freestyle competition in the old format, because the next one will be the merger, and the next one will be with the new system. That's the long range plan. So that's going to fly by. It's going to fly by.
Thanks, Maureen, and thank you for all the work that you've done on behalf of Canada under this project. And we will look forward to that manual coming out, and then maybe we can schedule something in the new year as a little touch point for coaches to dive deeper into it and go from there. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, now we're going to move on to our section on national and international competitions, starting with our 2022 Canadian team trials. So I'd like to invite Jeff to speak on this topic.
Okay, hi, thanks. So Wbtf is going ahead with an in-person World Championship in the summer of 2022. So that means we're going ahead with our team trials. We're moving along with plans to do it in the May long weekend. It'll be in Regina at the University of Regina facility. And I guess one of the things that we wanted to talk about, just make sure everyone was aware of, is that there is a vaccination policy that the university enforces on for all the people participating at their facility. And so what we've done is we've looked at their policy and we've broken it out into how it affects our athletes, our competition officials and staff, coaches and judges, and then everyone else, the spectators. So for athletes, it basically boils down to saying that all athletes must be fully vaccinated, and then they can compete either with or without a mask, although they do have to wear a mask within the facility at all other times. Competition officials, staff, coaches, judges, etc., they have to be fully vaccinated, or they have to test negative within 24 hours of our competition starting. And they will always have to wear a mask when they're within the facility. And then everyone else, spectators, is basically the same. They have to be fully vaccinated or test negative, and they have to wear a mask. The one thing we will be doing is for the athletes and for the competition officials, staff, coaches, and judges, because those people will be credentialed at the competition, we'll check their vaccination or testing status when we hand out their credentials. And their credentials will be marked depending on their status. And so they'll be able to move into certain areas of the facility with their credential without having to have vaccination status or testing status checked. Although with spectators, spectators will always have to have their status checked when they enter the facility. And then it may seem onerous, but I guess the reminder is starting October 30th, federal regulations kick in, and everyone 12 years and older has to be vaccinated in order to fly on a domestic flight as well. So that's also something to be aware of. Now, all of this could change. So we will keep an eye on it. And if the university changes its policy, we'll update what we're doing at the competition to reflect that. Okay, and then just a reminder, because it's been a while since we've done these things, that each province is granted a certain number of berths in each of the divisions. And so every province gets 5 entrants in each of the divisions. And then there are additional berths awarded based on how the province what finalists the province had at the previous team trials. By previous, that would be 2018 now. So anyway, so this is how it boils down to. So the highlighted numbers there show where the additional berths had been earned. So for example, Alberta, for junior pair, they have their standard 5 berths, but they earned an extra one, so they can actually send up to 6 and so on. Now, there is one thing to be aware of. Do you have it on this slide, Dana, or the next one, the junior and youth business?
So here's how
okay.
the age divisions are pairing out.
Right. So this is also something to be aware of. So for the 22 World Championship, Wbtf has adjusted their age divisions. And so essentially what they did was they shifted the senior age up 2 years. So senior now starts at 20 and up. And so then they're left with this group of 12 to 19s. And what they did was they split those into sort of the old junior division, which was 12 to 17, called that youth. And then the junior division is 18 to 19. So now, so for Wbtf, and this will be reflected at our team trials, there's a youth, a junior, and a senior division in women. For men, it's just junior and senior. And then there's also youth, junior, and senior in pair. And then the one thing, I guess, just to make provinces aware of, if you have extra berths in the senior division, it's the same. If you have extra berths in senior, you can use them in the senior. Where it gets a little bit awkward is when you have extra berths in the junior from 2018. So when you have extra berths in the junior division, what you can do, each of those provinces, you can choose to allocate your extra berths to either the youth or the junior division. So for example, if you had earned as a province, let's pick Saskatchewan junior women there. So they earned 3 extra berths. So they could allocate those 3 extra berths in whatever way they choose between the junior and the youth. So they might allocate them to 3 youth and no juniors. They might allocate them the other way around, no youths and 3 juniors, extras, or they could split it, however they choose. They don't get any extra berths. They're whatever extra ones they earned for junior, they choose to split them between junior and youth.
Thanks,
Okay.
Jeff. And now we'll move ahead to our 2022 Canadian Championship information.
Okay, so these plans are all basically carried forward from what we were going to be doing for the 2020 World Canadian Championship. So it was meant to be in Moncton. The 2022 Canadians will be in Moncton at the Avenir Center, and we've blocked the facility for the July 1st to 5th days. We're working on negotiating new host hotel contracts. And so as soon as that information is available, we'll be announcing it on the website. And again, COVID is with us. And so in New Brunswick, there are sort of two things to be aware of. One, as of September 22nd, the province of New Brunswick has a travel registration requirement. So anyone entering New Brunswick, no matter how you're doing it, by air, by car, by footpath, you have to register that you will be entering New Brunswick before you arrive. And they have an online website for that, for that stuff. People who are not fully vaccinated can enter New Brunswick. They have to self-isolate for 14 days when they arrive or until they receive a negative test, which they can take beginning on day 10. And then fully vaccinated travelers are exempt from that self-isolation requirement. And then children under 12, because right now they can't get vaccinated, they're exempt from the self-isolation requirement if they're traveling with fully vaccinated travelers. But if they weren't traveling with fully vaccinated travelers, then they would have to join their traveling party with the isolation. Now, again, most people will be flying to New Brunswick, so the whole business about unvaccinated travelers probably doesn't matter, because you probably had to be fully vaccinated in order to get on the plane to fly to New Brunswick anyway. And then, so that's just New Brunswick rules for arriving. The Avenir Center, just like the U of R, it has a vaccination requirement and a vaccination policy. For the Avenir, it's relatively straightforward. Anyone 12 and older who is going to be entering the facility, whether they're athletes, coaches, judges, spectators, anyone, they must be fully vaccinated. Must be, full stop, end of story, no exceptions. Masks have to be worn at all times within the facility, except when you're actively eating or drinking. Masks are not required for athletes when they're competing, but they are required at all other times, except when they're actively eating or drinking. So that's it. Now, this is almost certainly going to change at some point, because somewhere between now and next July, children under 12 are probably going to become eligible for vaccination. And we expect these policies will change. When they do, we'll update and we'll let everyone know.
Thanks, Jeff. We're now ready to move on to our international competitions, and we're going to start with the 2022 Virtual Nations Cup. And I'd like to ask Joanne to give us the information that she has on this.
Thanks, everyone. So last year, when it became apparent that we wouldn't be able to have a world championship in person, Wbtf started talking about doing a virtual competition. We did have the Grand Gala. It wasn't a competition, but it was an event nonetheless. And then it had been put out last year that we were going to perhaps have something later in the year. That then got carried forward, that perhaps we might have something later this year, this fall. And of course, Japan, as they're wont to do, were eager and prepared and started working on submissions for a virtual competition for this fall. But then in the meetings that we had, certain countries were having difficulties with being able to prepare their athletes. And the platform that we had looked at using when we got the actual price quote came in very, very expensive. And so we've now moved this virtual competition into 2022. And it has been called the Virtual Nations Cup. So it's been many, many months in coming, and finally now we have something. So it's going to be offering solo, Toubaton, 3-baton, artistic twirl, and artistic pair. And it's open to all Wbtf countries and athletes. There are no limits. What will happen is you will submit your routine by video. So you'll be just videoing your events that you want to enter. There is going to be a full set of rules posted by Wbtf, and it will be on their website on October 20th. So I encourage athletes, coaches to go and check that out and look at what the rules are for this competition. There will be two options. So you can ask for a rating only, or you can ask to compete. There is going to be a jot form process set up, and you will do one form per event. So if I'm an athlete and I'm entering solo, 2-baton, and 3-baton, I'm going to fill out a solo jot form entry, pay my fee, upload my video, and then I'm going to do the same thing for 2-baton on a separate form, the same thing for 3-baton on a separate form. We previewed the forms and the entry process in our Wbtf meeting yesterday, and it looks like it will be quite straightforward. It looks like it's going to be easy to use. There will be payment via PayPal. There will be other options for, I believe, credit card or debit card as well. That's just being finalized. And so what will happen is you'll submit your routines, and if you're asking for them to be rated, they'll be rated. If you're asking to compete, you'll compete. There are entry deadlines, so you can, the start starts quite soon. It's a staggered entry deadline though for the events. And then what will happen is the videos will be viewed by judges, by Wbtf judges, and a competition type of kind of like a show will be put together. So the videos will be aired on, I believe, a YouTube channel. And so there will be a competition air date, so you can watch the compilation of the videos, and then the awards will be sent out following that. So it's kind of a bit of a different process, but an opportunity for people who just want to do more, or people who perhaps don't have access to competition to do something. And it's also a way of encouraging the Wbtf's newer member countries to dip their toes into the competition water and be able to do something. So I did represent 2 Wbtf that I felt that our athletes would be excited to try something new, and that we would support this competition the best that we could. And so I would encourage everyone to think about doing this. It's always good to have yourself prepared and to do more, be seen by more judges, be given evaluations, and I think it'll be fun. So that is the Virtual Nations Cup that finally will be happening. And you'll see here on the screen the deadlines, but that'll all be posted. Just keep checking the Wbtf website. And Wbtf also told us that they'll be creating reminders on their social media, and whenever I get anything from them, I will provide it to our social media, and Jeff can provide links on our website.
Thanks, Joanne. Looking forward to that one. I think it'll be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we'll move on to the 2022 World Championship and what you know of it.
Sure. So the location, of course, last go around was supposed to be in Riccione. It's now been moved to Turin. There is a plan as of right now to have the Wbtf winter meeting in Turin in January. Provided that it's safe to go, it would be my preference that Canada has at least one person there, because we, of course, haven't seen the facility, haven't been able to view hotels, haven't been able to put together the stuff that we normally would for our contingent. If it's not safe to travel, there will be the option for us to have attendance by Zoom link. And so it may be a hybrid, that some people are there in person and some are there by Zoom. Italy didn't have a lot of an update to give us yesterday. Just that we have the schedule for the winter meeting. We know what's happening and when. Just let me pull up my dates. So that is supposed to go from Friday, January 28th to Sunday, January 30th. We have to notify them by December 1st if we'll be attending. They have a facility. They are looking at hotel arrangements, and as far as I know, it's proceeding, and that's as much as I can tell you.
Thanks, Joanne. We look forward to hearing more after your January meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now we're ready to move on to talk about 2023. I know this is a little bit out there in the future, but it's always good to hear about what our planning stages are at the moment so that you can sort of start pre-planning your years as well. So in 2023, it will be a qualifier that we are aiming to host in Ontario. And this will be offering disciplines of solo, Toubaton, 3-baton, artistic twirl, X-strut, duet, artistic pair, twirl team, the Gloria version, artistic team, twirling core, and artistic group. So this will be the first Wbtf competition, and they define their Nations Cup as level B and level A events, and their World Championship event as elite levels. So there's information on the Wbtf website. Their rule books are up now, so you can start downloading and reading those in preparation for 2023. Just as a reminder, Cbtf does have qualification standards that were put in place, and we haven't been able to implement them yet because they're of the postponements of the competitions, but just a little refresher that there's no standard to submit an intent to compete form. However, at the entry deadline, there are minimum scores that have to have been achieved by the athletes to actually enter the qualifier. And then at the actual qualification competition, there are minimum scores that the athletes have to achieve in the final round in order to move on to travel to the Nations Cup or World Baton Championship. So we'll touch base on those again next fall when it will be time to submit intent to compete, but I just wanted to put that out there so it's in the back of your mind. And then looking really far ahead to 2024, the qualifier would be what we know as a team trials, because it will be the disciplines of a freestyle solo, which is Wbtf's short program plus freestyle, a rhythmic twirl, which is WFNBTA's free program only, and then freestyle pair and freestyle team as we know it. So we are aiming to send athletes in the rhythmic twirl division here in Canada. And now just to touch on some administrative points, continuing professional development. So last year was the first year that we had our expanded CPD program going, and we are currently in the process of doing the review of those submissions. So just as a reminder, it's the ongoing process of maintaining, developing, and documenting your professional skills. So it's a program that is designed to help you identify and act on your own development needs. CPD is personal, and each individual should identify their own needs, determine what additional training they require, and learn independently. It's important as a CBTF coach, adjudicator, or judge to take responsibility for your own abilities and recognize areas that need to improve. CBTF does have a role to play in determining the requirements of the program, but the responsibility for developing a personal program and maintaining your certification rests with the individual member. So we will be doing, as promised every year, I said that we would do an update to the CPD just to answer any questions, give reminders. And this year, once we've started sorting through the submissions and I've collected the questions that have been asked throughout the year, I'll address those in this update, because if one person has the question, likely a couple more do as well. And then I'll also give you some ideas that you can use to expand the credits that you are getting and using for your training. So we've thrown quite a few webinars your way. Here's a little summary of what we have planned right now on the books. So next Sunday at 6 o'clock, I'll do the CPD webinar, and then followed by the 6:45. These are all central times. Adjust for your local time zone there. Sarah will do the intro to the skills development program. And those will be 2 separate links. So you do have to register for each of those to receive the different links. Then in November on the 14th, we will have our intro to the pre-competitive standard routines. And we intend for that one to be more of a hands-on. So plan that you have a baton in your hand if you're a coach, and that you're going to be up and moving. So you might need a little bit of space. You don't need to be in a gym to do pre-comp stuff. But if you're interested in actually walking through and doing some of the movements, we're going to make it hands-on that way. November 21st is again going to be our judging webinar for graded events, and we're going to play the game with Toubaton. Jenna will lead that, and it's focused, of course, on judges, but our coaches and adjudicators are more than welcome to attend. Sunday, November 28th, we're going to do our Level B short program. Maureen will walk us through the finer points of those elements. And on Sunday, December 12th, Jenna will take us through a play the game with medley and solo dance twirl. We will be doing additional webinars into the new year, but here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them to get you going, and those will count for, I think it's category 2 off the top of my head, credits on the CPD program. I'll go over that next week. For our technical and board members that are on the call right now, save the date. We're going to do a Cbtf winter technical meeting Saturday, January 15th and or Sunday, January 16th, depending on the length of our agenda. So we'll narrow that down closer to the date, of course, but if you could just mark those down in your calendar. And then the Cbtf winter board meeting, Friday, January 21st and or Saturday, January 22nd. We are now open to questions and answers. So you can either type your questions in the chat or use the raise your hand feature, and I'll get Jeff to address you, and then you can unmute yourself and ask your question. Ron, did you still have a question about the penalty sheets, or was it answered?
That was something, just a light thing. When you were talking about drops or breaks in the for penalties, right? You said there was an X on it in the lights in the top. We don't do that. We only just do one diagonal one, because if it goes past what the whole amount is, which is 10, which doesn't happen often, then you go over an X. So I just was going to point that out.
Yes, thanks, Ron. On Adobe, I couldn't select just a slash to fill in the checkbox, so it had to be an X. But understanding that when you're doing pen and paper, and if unfortunately the athlete gets beyond 10 drops, the judges will start crossing out the other way. So please don't drop more than 10 times. Make our life comfortable.
Yeah, please.
Thanks, Ron.
Okay.
So we've got a question from Wendy.
Hi there. Hi, I have a question for Jenna. Are we doing judges exams and selection process for nationals and worlds again this year?
Jeff, do you maybe want to take that question on? You probably have a better idea of timeline for me.
So the short answer is yes, we are doing those, but I actually don't have a better the timeline isn't on ringing, but it's happening. The exams will be getting it posted and announced. The application form, actually the application form first, will be getting posted shortly. The exams are online. They'll happen shortly after, like in, I think it's scheduled for, I guess, November now for the exams, with the selection committee meeting after that. So the application form will be going up shortly.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions, either in the chat or hands up? Maureen?
Could you just repeat the dates for the Cbtf winter meetings?
Yeah, I'll just flip that screen back for you.
Okay, I didn't write it down fast enough.
So winter technical, January 15 and or 16, and board January 21 and or 22.
21, 22, and that's Winterfest.
Yes, it somehow fondly got named Winterfest at the Cbtf fall board meeting. So I will be designing a logo as per Joanne's request for that.
And Maureen, just to clarify the dates that I put into the chat, I thought you were meaning the winter meeting WBTF.
I realized that. So I did get those down.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, well, thanks everybody for joining us tonight. And I'm, of course, going to leave you with a little quote there. So good luck with your seasons coming up. And I look forward to hopefully seeing a lot of you on our upcoming webinars, a chance to get together and learn. So thanks for joining us.